Leo Jaymz, Richard Jaymz. Hey guys, welcome back to the Bald Shredder channel. So today we are checking out another guitar from Leo Jaymz. It is their Les Paul style single cut that they call the single cut standard. Now before I demo it and go through all the specs and all that stuff, I want to give you guys a little bit of a backstory on how I got this guitar. So if you watched my NAMM show video from last month, you would know that I went to the Leo Jaymz booth at NAMM. And at the booth, I met the man himself, Leo. He was a super cool guy. He showed me all his guitars. We talked guitars for a long time, and I've still got that Leo Jaymz announcement that I mentioned in the NAMM video. I'm not quite ready to make it yet. I'm still waiting to confirm a few things, but hopefully that's coming up pretty soon, guys. So while I was there checking out all the Leo Jaymz stuff and talking to Leo, he was like, hey, why don't you take this Les Paul? He's like, here, you can have it, take it. Do a demo and a review for me on the single cut guitar. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I love the color, it looks great, definitely. So that's how I ended up with the guitar. So I want to say thank you to Leo and everybody at Leo Jaymz for getting this guitar to me at NAMM. All right, guys, and as usual, I wrote and recorded an all new jam on this guitar just for this video. Check it out. All right, so what'd you guys think? I'm pretty happy with the way that one turned out. It's got a pretty punchy sound, a lot of good accents in there, and yeah, I'm happy with it, but definitely let me know what you think of it in the comments. So the guitar itself, guys, it has pretty much all your standard Les Paul style features, and that would be 2 chrome-covered humbuckers, 2 volumes, 2 tones, a tunematic bridge, the 3-way toggle switch. We've got a neck with 22 frets and a scale length of 24.75. The body and the neck are both made of mahogany. It's got a really cool flame maple veneer on it, and it's a burst color, and this one goes from yellow to green, but the guitar does come in a variety of colors. And right now, most of the colors are on sale for $189. Now the frets on the fretboard, I would say they're kind of medium sized. They're definitely not too small, but they're definitely not the extra jumbos either. It's got some nice chrome tuners, and they have a ratio of 18:1, so they actually turned pretty smoothly. I like that. And looking over the guitar, guys, I could not find like any flaws in the finish. Like no mess ups. I mean, really nothing. It's pretty much flawless on the finish on this one. But that does not mean that the entire guitar was flawless when I received it. There were a couple of things that I kind of had to like fix or just do a little bit of work on to get it in proper playing condition. And that would be the fretboard and the frets. It was so dry that the wood was literally like a lighter color. So what I did was I took the strings off, I went over the fretboard with some lemon oil, and now you can see that like it's a much better color and it just feels much better too, and it's not nearly as dry as it was. So that was really helpful. And then also, guys, the frets were a little bit grungy. Not super bad, but a little bit dirty. You know, like you could feel it when you went to like bend a string and you feel that kind of dirtiness or grunginess, and it happens quite often on these import budget guitars. I'm not exactly sure why it happens. I think it has to do with just like it's getting shipped from overseas and it's sitting in a warehouse for months on end, and then like some oxidation just kind of builds up or something. But that's also very easy to take care of. I just went over all the frets really quickly with a little bit of steel wool, got rid of all that stuff that was on there. The frets are nice and clean and nice and shiny, much better than it was before. Take a look at the before and after pictures. You can see what the fretboard looked like before the oil and before I went over it with the steel wool. And then in the after picture, you can see it looks a whole lot better. And it was only a tiny bit of work. And then after that, I put on a new set of strings. I strung this bad boy up with 10s. Normally, I would use 9s on my guitars, but being that this is a Les Paul, I wanted it to have like maybe like kind of a chunkier, beefier, harder sound, if that makes any sense. So I decided to put 10s on it, and I think it was the right choice. Plays good, sounds good. Now the one thing that I would recommend that you guys change on this guitar if you buy it, and I don't mean, you know, doing the lemon oil and cleaning the frets. That's only a maybe if you look at it and it requires it. But definitely, probably, almost for sure, I would say change the nut. That's my one recommendation to kind of improve this guitar. Of course, it has a nut, and it's not badly cut, but you know, it's just a plastic nut. So there's nothing special about just a regular cheap plastic nut. And you can swap this out really easy. You can get a graphite, like a Tusk XL graphite style nut on eBay for like around 10 or 11 bucks. And it is not hard to swap it out. You know, you just kind of pop that off and then glue the new one in place. And it would definitely help with the tuning stability, like keeping it in tune. Because I think on the cheap plastic nuts, sometimes the strings kind of like catch in there and it's not quite as smooth as you really want it to be as far as tuning goes. So I would recommend doing that if you get one of these. Now the sound of the guitar, you heard it. You know, these are more like your classic rock pickups. They're not super high output. So it's got more like that clear, pure crunch rock tone. More like an AC/DC kind of a thing. Not really like the shred kind of pickups that I would use in my other guitars. And quite frankly, you know, you might not be getting this if like you want to do the shred style. And if I want to do that, I'm going to use like my other Leo Jaymz guitar, which was the 24 fret, the 2 humbucker, different style of guitar, kind of better for that. But for what it is, you know, you want that classic, pure, crunchy, good tone. I think these pickups are good. The neck profile, guys, not too thick, not too thin, because you don't want it too thin on a Les Paul style guitar, but it's definitely not like super thick like you find on some guitars. So comfortable for me, even though I normally prefer like a really thin neck. So you know, if I like it, it's good. And then the last thing, guys, is that the fretboard has a 14-inch radius. So bottom line, guys, overall, I'm pretty impressed with this. After I cleaned up the fretboard and put the new strings on and I adjusted the bridge a little bit, just kind of, you know, up and down to get the action where I want it. Also very easy to do. Anybody can do it. Plays good. I was able to play some pretty tasty licks, a little bit of shred in there. So yeah, this guitar is definitely gonna get the Bald Shredder stamp of approval. All right, guys, that's it. So if you're interested, you want to check it out, of course, I've got a link in the description for it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.